our next speaker coming to our stage is Maxine Williams. Maxine Williams is the Chief Diversity Officer for Meta, famously formerly called Facebook, and she serves as the member of Meta's most senior executive leadership team under the CEO. Maxine's team works to increase cognitive diversity, different ways of thinking based on backgrounds, experiences, and information. Maxine and her team also develop strategies to attract, retain, and support the growth of underrepresented people at the company. And as soon as she comes on stage, y'all, you'll understand why I call her my sister in curls. Please welcome to the stage, Maxine Williams!
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all? Good. Thank you for providing this weather for me. I absolutely appreciate it. I did not expect to come here and feel like I was back at home in the Caribbean. But it is welcome. You make me feel at home. So thank you. So, we are here today speaking about technology and about all of these wonderful innovations. And while we are here speaking about this, the next evolution of the internet is being built. And it is called the metaverse. Now, I realize a lot of people have asked me the primary question, which is, what exactly is the metaverse? And maybe some of you have that question in your minds right now. And I would say that the way I describe it is a space where we can be present, where we can embody the space, where we're not just witnessing something, but we are in it. And that technology is being built right now. And then you might ask, well, what's the purpose of that? Why do we need that? And I think it's that until we experience what it's like to be more present, we sort of don't really track all of the ways in which that is a benefit. So I am from Trinidad and Tobago, and I can say, yes, is there one person from Trinidad and Tobago here? Oh, good. Her wife is from Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. Oh, wait, we see one hand over here. That is wonderful. That's like disproportionate for our representation in the world already. So I'm winning already. But I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and it is a very small place with 2 islands. There is no road in between. People often ask that question. 2 islands, 1 nation, 1.3 million people. And, there are basically 2 reasons that I ever left my country, because I wouldn't have left otherwise. And it was for more work opportunities and more education opportunities. There just wasn't the range because of the scale. And I could get more in other places. And so I did that. I had to physically go to other places in order to achieve that. When I think about the metaverse and what we're building now, what I see everywhere, written all over it, is opportunity. It is going to provide more opportunity to more people. That is because of a number of reasons. One is who's building it. Think back to the internet. When the internet was built, it was a function of who had access to computers, right? There were huge barriers to who was involved in the building of it, who had the training to be able to do that. And not everybody did, for sure. And then if the people building it weren't that diverse themselves, they weren't typically building with inclusion and equity in mind, with representation in mind. So now we're at a point where we get the chance from the learnings of the past to build differently for the future, where we can put diversity and equity and inclusion and representation at the forefront, at the center of what we will build and how we will build it for opportunity. So who is building it? The people who are the technicians, but also the people who are the creators, the people who are using some of the early technology now. Because we're all learning from each other about how to build, but we're learning with this lens on where we have a priority for inclusion, where we really want to serve and to represent the whole world. So that's the key thing I want you to bear in mind, is how much more opportunity we can and will build in this new metaverse. All right. I want to tell you about when I say the people who are building, some of those people that I have met along the way. I told you that I'm from Trinidad, but I didn't tell you that I lived for 10 years in Brooklyn, New York. Anybody from Brooklyn here? Yes. Isn't that interesting? We have about equal representation of Brooklyn as Trinidad. Brooklyn is a way bigger place. Brooklyn, 40% of the people from Brooklyn are not from there. Not even from America, I think. 1/5 of the people in Brooklyn are single parents. We have a huge proportion of people in Brooklyn who are women. It is an incredibly diverse place, and reason I loved living there. On International Women's Day this year, I met a young black woman from Brooklyn. Her name is Angel. And Angel is an artist. Angel creates. Angel is also a single mother, a black woman. Angel is also somebody who is complex and multidimensional. She is somebody who described herself as having deep social anxiety. Angel saved the money to buy a Quest headset, which is the tool you would use for the most immersive experience at this point. It's something that we produce, and when you go in, you can visit many different worlds. She went into Horizon Worlds, which is a social experience within this immersive technology. In there, she found what we have available, which is tools to learn how to build worlds within Quest. And so she did the training, totally free, and she learned how to build worlds. And since that, Angel tells me her life has been completely changed. You know what it's like when you are, as a single parent in particular, I know I grew up with one, but as a parent at all, where you are constantly juggling, right? You are constantly struggling. There are so many places you need to be, so many things you need to do, and you're trying to work, and you're trying to create, and you need to take care of these children. You have to do all of this. Angel found herself in that position, and here she was, this artist who wanted to make and sell her art. Well, in Horizon Worlds, she has been able to meet people from all over the world, to be present with them, and to create her art and sell her art. I want to take you through all the ways in which this has created opportunity for Angel. The first thing is that she's been able to create in completely different ways than she might have done before. Because now she doesn't have to go and buy paints and brushes and canvases and whatever other tools she would have needed before. It's all available. And she described it to me as limitless, a limitless canvas for creation. Angel created a black art gallery in Horizon Worlds, where she then put her art, where people from all over the world who she would not have met if she had simply, and it wouldn't have been simple, gotten her art into an art gallery, an existing art gallery somewhere in Brooklyn, or if she had the money somehow to open her own brick and mortar store. She didn't have that. But in this world, in this immersive world, she was able to have her art displayed. People from all over the world were able to see it. People were able to purchase her art. So she could create. She had economic opportunity. She had opportunity to learn. She learned how to do all this. And by the way, another income stream for her now is that she builds worlds for other people and they pay her for that. Right? And then I mentioned that she was somebody who described herself as having social anxiety. She said as a performer, she's a performer, it was hard for her to get up on stage. It was hard for her to meet people and have conversations with them because of her anxiety. Through her experience of being in Quest, in Horizon Worlds, in this immersive space where you feel present with other people, which is the key distinguishing factor about this technology, is that you can feel present. She has been able to work through so much of that, to feel so much more comfortable in people's presence, that she says now in the real world, she is able to go on a stage and perform in a way that she couldn't have before. So we didn't even expect that benefit. to this feeling of presence, this connection with others, this opportunity which this new technology has afforded. And that's why I said the builders really are, yes, the technicians, but also the people who are using the technology, from whom we are learning about all of the ways in which this can add value to lives. That's me and Angel, by the way, in the earlier thing. I just want to highlight. This was at International Women's Day when I had a forum in the early stages of the metaverse. This is in Horizons, talking to different women about how they use this technology. And there were documentary filmmakers, and Angel was there, and there were people who were academics and people who are teachers. And it's just a beautiful thing to see how people are already using what is the early versions of what will come. So, I mentioned to you a few times that I'm from Trinidad. You must know by now how much I love my country and how much I love warmth. And you don't know yet how much I love mangoes. But I really, really, really love mangoes. And mangoes straight from the tree, and particularly Julie mangoes, which you should look up, and if you ever in your lifetime have an opportunity to taste it, you're welcome. You heard it here first. It's the greatest thing ever invented. So I love being there, but as I said, I sought other opportunities and I had to physically leave. What I also like is being me. The MC introduced me as curly sister. Hair is a big thing for black women. It's a big distinguishing factor. Not everybody could have this strong, beautiful, bold hair. We know that. I like being me, showing up as who I am. In the metaverse, being who you are, being present as who you are, is something that people will receive. Avatars are the way you show up, right? You have to show up through some form, and avatars are those. And because we have this focus on you showing up the way you want to show up, we've invested a lot in making the avatars things that can represent all of the different ways in which people see themselves and how they want to show up. So currently, in our Horizon worlds, in our quest, in the technology, we've created about 1 quintillion, I had to learn that word, 1 quintillion different ways that you can construct your avatar. From the hair, to the skin tone, to the shape of the eyes, to the shape of the body, all of those different things, so that people can be present as who they know themselves to be. We had a conference called Connect, where we launched a lot of what we're doing in the metaverse. And in there, I chose for my avatar to wear its hair in what we call Bantu knots, which are a style where we take this curly hair and separate it into sections, and then you wrap it around itself. And so it looks like a bunch of bumps on your head. And it was so interesting to me that just that choice of hairstyle, that it was an option when I was creating my avatar, because remember, 1 quintillion options. So we're thinking about all of the different people in the world and the way they show up. But B, how my showing up with my Bantu knots mattered to people. So I was there floating around. There was a scene where I was playing poker with Mark Zuckerberg, well, with his avatar in the metaverse. And people were writing in saying, oh my gosh, Bantu knots are in the metaverse. Black people have made it to the metaverse. We're in the future. We've survived. That was good to show them, yeah, we made it through. And we look like who we are. It's amazing. So it mattered to me to be present as who I am, but it mattered to other people that they were also represented. And that is the promise of having something which thinks about everyone from the beginning, where everyone can participate and where everyone has the opportunity to be present. It was really a wonderful experience. And behind or beyond the aesthetics, which I've mentioned, body shapes and skin tones and hair, etc., there are also lots of other ways in which we show up, right? So we've worked, for instance, with the United Spinal Association to learn about the lived experience of people with disabilities. And one of the we've learned a lot of things, and we partner with a lot of people, a lot of organizations, I should say. That was me and the Bantu Knots. That's me kind of now. That's where I'm from, if you want to check it out. What we have learned in partnering with all of these people, in thinking about all of the ways people show up, is that people with disabilities, for instance, right? Many of you could be people with disabilities sitting in front of me. Many of them are invisible, so they don't show up in your image. But it's important to see people represented, to see people with disabilities represented. In the same way, it was important for Black women to see me represented with my Bantu knots in the metaverse. So we want to create all of the ways in which people can be represented as themselves, even if much of who you are in your complexity is invisible to others. As we worked with the United Spinal Association, they taught us a lot about the lived experience. And you know what we did? We took that learning, and in the avatars, for instance, you can have an avatar in a wheelchair. You can have an avatar with a cochlear implant. You can have an avatar with an over-the-air hearing aid. All of those are small symbols of the difference and the diversity of people in the world, and are representative of the millions of people. 15% of people around the world are people with disabilities. So every time we take a step to represent who we are globally in our fullness, our richness of diversity, it goes a step further to creating opportunity and inclusion for everyone, and having this version of the internet be something which really holds all of us together. Not just how we look, not just who we are in terms of ability, disability, etc., but how we speak, right? Our language is important in terms of how we represent ourselves and how we are present with each other. There are so many dialects in the world, so many languages, but often, even with the translation tools that exist now, it's sort of quite basic, right? You can kind of get some English and German translations, but so many other languages just aren't available. We've created the translation tools that have already translated over 100 languages without using English as the base. Now, you may say, okay, but they're already translation tools, so what's the big deal? But this is where I want you to think about where this technology is taking us. In the metaverse, with this immersive technology, you will be able to put on a pair of glasses at a restaurant in a foreign country and see the menu in your language. That kind of instant, real-time ability. So now you are present in a space which is comfortable to you. You have gotten access to something which you wouldn't have had access to before, and the barrier, the friction is gone. I tell you, last night I was sitting down in my hotel room and desperately wanted some brilliant Surinamese food, which I know you have here in Amsterdam. And somebody from Suriname here? Yes! And I tried so hard to order that food, and I failed because the menus were in Dutch. I couldn't get the translation. I couldn't figure it out how to do it. Even when I could translate one word, they were like whole phrases. I couldn't keep going back and forth. By the time I even 25% of the way figured it out, the restaurant was closed. And I almost picked up the phone and called headquarters and was like, y'all have to speed this thing up by like 5 years, because I need to eat. So I am looking forward to the day I could put on those glasses and see the whole menu in the languages that I speak, and so that I can have this sort of immersive, immediate access and connection to others and to the things that I want. So that's where it is going, where all of the languages will be represented, so we can all be represented. I told you I'm going to tell you about a couple of people to demonstrate how this is happening. So the next person I want to talk about is somebody called Tina Wheeler. Tina Wheeler is a teacher, and Tina Wheeler is somebody with dyslexia. And that's a central feature of her life. Tina thinks better in 3D pictures than she does from the written word. And she didn't really have a place or a way to express that until in 2019, she got an early version of Quest, our headset. And it completely spoke to her learning style. She could go in there and see things in 3D, the way that she understood them, the way that brought value to her. Remember I said work opportunities, learning opportunities. There is a whole field of learning opportunities here that will be created in the metaverse, that are already being created through this immersive technology. So Tina now creates in Horizon Worlds, which is again our social experience in the metaverse, in the immersive technology, she creates learnings about dyslexia for others. She is in there using her skills and her experience, her lived experience, to create for others in the way that makes sense to her. And right now it's a hobby for her, but she wants to make it into her full-time job. Again, economic opportunity in this. And a way that we would not have thought about if it weren't for seeing the way people are using this. So the learning opportunity is one we are deeply leaning into. We want more and more people to have these immersive learning experiences, to learn from them as they learn too. We have committed $150 million to a hands-on immersive learning program to invest in people who are learning how to use this technology. The goal is for everyone everywhere to be able to create, to be able to explore, to be able to embody this space. And with the partnerships that we've developed across the world, we think that we will be able to do that. We want people to be able to be local and act globally. This is a way not to replace your real life, but to add to it. The critical first step on that is access. We need everyone to have access, which is why I'm on stage here too. I want to tell you about this. I want people to go out and try it out and experience it. Because if you haven't heard about it, you're not even going to take the first step to experience it, and therefore to get the opportunities that exist from this technology. Access also means ability to experience it through the devices that you may have. You may not have a Quest headset. You may not have the money to purchase a Quest headset. And that's okay. That's just the most immersive. But we have all along the line ways in which you can participate with 2D devices, with your phone or with your laptop. And you should be doing that kind of thing, using the Spark AR tools that we've created, because all of those are in this continuum that gives you more opportunity. So with our investments in learning, we hope that more and more people can experience this, because ultimately we want there to be 1 billion people in this metaverse using these tools and gaining the opportunity from it. We want to build responsibly, because we've learned some lessons from the past. We've learned that the things that human beings do in real life, they take into their virtual lives as well. And so we're building with safety first. We've created, for instance, in Horizon Worlds, the default is that you have a personal boundary around your avatar, so that people can't come into your space unless you want them to. That gives you a measure of safety, even going into it. We want to learn from others. We are partnering with academics, civil society, private sector, with all of the people who are researching and who will participate in this, so we can learn from the beginning how to make this the safest, most productive space with opportunity that people can explore. We cannot do this alone. And what success will look like is if we are all getting more opportunity than we had before, if we are all able to be present, feel present with the people we want to, in the places we want to, when we can't be there in person. We want to create a place where there is opportunity for everyone. And I have to tell you that the more I've thought about this, is the more I realize that I think my company created this for me. Because all of what it delivers is what I needed. And I realize now this is the thing that looks like me, gives to me, represents me, whereas I've spent a lot of my time feeling like the minority, the one who's been excluded. But I'm the one, or people like me, who will get opportunity for education, and for training, for expression, for meeting people, for being more understood through what can exist in this metaverse. And so we are deeply, deeply committed to building this and building this together, learning from each other, and to have a world in 5, 10 years which looks a lot better, a lot more equal, and a lot more equitable than the one in which we exist today. Thank you very much, and one love, everyone.